Have you ever had a dog start growling at you when he or she has food? It's pretty scary, right? Especially when it happens with a 10-week-old puppy. Hello and welcome to A Dog's Soul, an empath's guide to your dog's feelings. Today, we're going to talk about resource guarding in puppies, and you're going to meet Elli, a little Rottweiler pup who started resource guarding at 10 weeks old. Have fun! Alright, so this is really a scary situation, right? You get a new dog, a puppy, you expect the puppy to be young and naive like every other puppy and just friendly and happy, and you want to build a relationship with that puppy. And suddenly when you feed her the first time, you hear a low, very scary growl. You notice that the puppy is stiff and not eating or eating very quickly and always eyeing you. This is a situation nobody wants, right? And when I met Elli, she was a 10-week-old puppy. The rescue had told the new family that she had been found chained up in a backyard with her mom, and her mom was used for guarding this property, and Elli should have been her companion or whatever. So this is the first sign that in Elli's genes, there is the potential for guarding stuff, right? Because if a dog is good at guarding property, he's probably good at guarding other stuff too. Doesn't happen with every dog, but the connection is there. So this was the first cue. And the woman who fostered Elli took her with her into a household with a lot of dogs in a very, very tight space. And what this does is, especially for a very young puppy who doesn't know anything because she had been chained up in the backyard, it puts a lot of stress on her. Sleep and rest gets shortened or even deprived because there are so many dogs and so many things going on. And who could rest in a bunch of youngsters playing or fighting with each other or just being overly excited all the time? That's really difficult. Puppies often need to learn to relax anyway, but in an environment like that, it's almost impossible. And the woman who took her in noticed Elli starting to growl whenever she got her food bowl pretty soon, and what she did was she hit her in the face. The new family knew that because that was exactly what this woman recommended them to do whenever they saw Elli behave that way. Now, Elli was growling because she had never made any good experience with a human. The person who had chained her up in a backyard didn't really interact with her much because she was just a guard dog, she was just a tool, and he didn't want any relationship with her, so why spend time with her, right? And there was no other human contact. And then the woman who took her in hit her in the face. So, of course, this was not a pleasant experience either. So, Elli distrusted humans. No wonder, right? And she expected nothing good from people. She didn't know what to expect, actually, because she didn't have any good experiences and not many experiences at all. So, what she was doing was she was telling humans, don't come any closer, I don't feel comfortable with this. And nothing else is a growl. A growl is not a dominant behavior like the foster woman said. A growl is not aggression per se. A growl is just a way of a dog asking us to not come closer. Which is actually pretty nice because I like to get warned before somebody smashes me in the face, right? I like to have a warning. And I am living with a dog who has learned that growling gets punished, and he stopped growling. That didn't mean that he was comfortable. It just meant that he was no longer giving any warnings before biting. And this is a situation you don't want to be in. So, fortunately, Elli wasn't gone that far. So she still tried growling. It was becoming less, so the growls were becoming quieter, and she started lifting her lips to show her teeth. So she started escalating. Now, it could be that she had learned that from her mom, right? We don't really know anything about the mom, so she could have learned that from her. It could also be a result of the stress she was experiencing with that foster person and all those other dogs, because stress kind of thins our nervous system, our ability to cope with stress. So you have probably experienced that yourself. You have a bad day, and the next person who cuts you off in traffic gets the finger, right? And nothing else is what happens with our dogs when they react after being stressed for quite some time. And of course, Elli's history with coming from a guard dog and being a guarding breed could have something to do with that as well. It can never be the only reason, because even though guard dog breeds are prone to guarding stuff, that's what they're bred for, they don't have to show it if their experiences don't lead them to that result. So, when Elli came to the new home, she was pretty shaken up about humans. She was not sure how to act around them. She was not sure who she could trust or if she could trust anybody, because in her very young life, she had not made any good experiences. Now, the new family didn't want to use the physical punishment on her. On one hand, because they didn't want to treat their dog that way. I mean, she's still a baby, right? And on the other hand, because they had a very good gut feeling about this escalation. So they recognized that Elli had started showing some teeth with the growling, and they were very concerned about that because Elli was a very strong breed. She was a Rottweiler. She would have grown up to be a very big dog, and they wanted her to feel safe, and they wanted to feel safe themselves, which is completely natural, right? So when we started training, we put our focus on Elli feeling more comfortable with her humans in various situations, especially when there were things around that were important to Elli. Because resource guarding is normal. We do it too, right? We build fences so people don't come onto our property. We lock our doors so nobody can come in and just take our TV or drive off with our car or things like that. And that's resource guarding. Things that are important to us, or persons, or whatever, we tend to be protective of. And dogs do that too. Actually, every living being does that. So, when we realize our dog's guarding something from us, our dogs are doing that because they don't trust us 100% around their stuff, or their people, depending on what they're guarding. So what we need to do is not punish the behavior. We need to build trust around the thing that's important to the dog. So we started adding nice stuff to food from a distance that was okay for Elli, so she didn't show any signs of discomfort. She didn't tense up, she didn't growl, she didn't show any teeth, she didn't speed up her eating or slow it down. None of that. So this was a little bit of distance, it wasn't too much, and we just added stuff. And as soon as Elli realized that good things are happening whenever the people talked to her or came closer, and I recommended them always addressing her before coming closer so she knew and wasn't startled. She started getting more and more relaxed, even with less distance. And that was when we started doing some nose work games or just some fun games we do anyway with puppies, right? And we included food in that, so Elli could make connections with positive experiences and food and her people in another context than her eating her regular meals. And then we just played some trade games. So whenever she had anything, or sometimes when she had something, not every time, because every time would probably put stress on the situation again. So sometimes when she had something, her people just walked by and looked at her and just talked calmly and friendly with her, like, "Oh, see what you got there," and walked away. And sometimes they traded with her, so she was asked to give whatever she had to her humans, and she got something else, or she got the same thing and something else. So those trade games really can look very different for every dog, but they tell the dog that whenever they give something up, good things happen. It's the same thing like adding stuff to the food bowl or adding stuff to a chew toy or whatever the dog would probably guard or is already guarding. It gives the dog positive associations. And Elli learned that whenever her people wanted something from her or asked her to give something up or walked toward her when she had food, good things were happening. She was beginning to trust her humans around her staff because they never took anything from her by force. They asked her to give the thing away. And of course, that meant management, especially for a puppy, because let's be honest, puppies take everything and try to chew on it or try different things with the item and see what they can do with it. So they had to keep the house really clean and really orderly and keep an eye out for stuff lying around so that Elli could not just snatch anything that would be dangerous to her, because they didn't want to go up to her and take something by force. So they had to be very careful with not letting anything lie around, right? But since they were so thorough with their management and they were so dedicated to training, it only took a few weeks and Elli was completely comfortable with her people around her food bowl. She didn't guard anything anymore from them, and they were no longer worried about Elli becoming dangerous or ever escalating her guarding behavior anymore, because she was just happily wagging and looking up whenever she heard her guardians come close to her or when they asked something of her. She was really obviously happy about that. And that's when we can start trusting again, right? Because we know the dog trusts us again. So tell me in the comments if you're watching on YouTube what your dog is guarding. And don't forget to like and subscribe. If you find this helpful at all, I would love for you to leave me a review on Spotify or Apple Podcast if you listen there, or a comment on YouTube if you're listening on YouTube. And share the episode with a friend who has a puppy that is starting resource guarding or even an adult dog, because together we can help even more people and their dogs live their dream companionship and enjoy their lives together. That's it. I wish you a lot of fun training, a lot of fun with your puppy or adult dog, and we'll see each other next time. Bye!